Hello, it is a warm, summery June day here in Chicago, and I would like to drink something light and refreshing. And it's not going to be rum, and it's not going to be agave. No, we're doing apricot Eau de Vie. I do watch the metrics on this channel sometime, and I know that you all care about Jamaican rum. You all care about Scotch sometimes. Not a lot of you care about fruit brandy, but you should, because it is delicious, and it's just a different experience from kind of what you're normally going for. And I have never really dug into apricot brandy before, so I thought this is a good time for it. So it's going to be a head-to-head between my beloved Mette from Ribeauville in Alsace. Got a little half bottle of that. And a Jelínek. I've reviewed a Jelínek Slivovice, aged Slivovice from them before, and I really, really loved that. So when I saw this was inexpensive and bottled at a healthy 42% instead of the usual 40, I snapped it up. They're swapping from 750 bottles to 700s. You're losing 2 ounces. I'm sorry, but I'm still excited to see where this is. I've reviewed tons of Mettes before. They're all over the channel. I'll link some up below. All right. And they are poured. Let's get this review started. We're going to start off with the Jelínek. So this is, again, it's from the Czech Republic. Very, very old distillery. They've been around since the late 19th century. It says triple distilled, but it's not like triple, pot distilled as you see in Ireland. It basically looks like some kind of column setup, which is fine. Like, if it's a short traditional column, that's great. That's absolutely fine. 42%. I mean, it's extremely clean. It's just kind of essence of apricot. And I know that sounds obvious because it's an apricot brandy, but it's the cleanness it's getting. People kind of get fruit brandy twisted in the following, like they think, okay, so the goal of the distiller, for the most part, when they're making the brandy in this style, is to translate the fruit, to the bottle, to alcoholic form, which is true for the most part. But it also gives you the sense that all fruit brandies are supposed to be the same somehow, which is just not true. It's like, I mean, think about it like this. It's like thinking all landscape paintings of the same material are going to be the same, right? Or still life paintings. I mean, Courbet and Van Gogh could both paint a hillside. That does not mean that the hillsides will look the same. The distiller is always making choices as to how the fruit is going to be translated over. So do not assume that these things are all going to be the same. But the Jelínek style seems to be very refined. It's clean. I mean, but there's more here than just sort of apricot. Fresh apricot, not dried apricot. It's also slightly green. I'm getting a little bit of apricot stem as well as the fruit. Also some herbaceousness. Basil is pretty obvious. Parsley. Oolong tea, but also like herbal teas, mix of herbal teas. So you bought like a box of different herbal teas and you kind of stuck your nose into it and you smelled it. It's that kind of thing. There's even a little hint of like yellow mustard in this, which is interesting. White pepper. I mean, it smells nice. It smells very summery. Okay, let's see what happens on the palate. Ooh, it's nice. Wow. Okay. So quite clean again. And the apricot is there, but it's also. I was talking about a little bit of herbaceousness on the nose. It's much more present on the palate, actually. So you're getting apricot, obviously, fresh apricot, not dried. A lot of it is following the nose. Basil, oregano, cilantro happening here. It's that kind of like slightly soapy, slightly lemon limey herbaceousness thing. But nice. I know some of you don't like cilantro. It's a genetic thing. I understand. Ooh, fresh spinach. Especially coming through on the finish, there is a little bit of like just you took a handful of fresh spinach and threw it into your mouth. Mix of teas again. Green tea, oolong tea, herbal teas. Yeah, it really, like, there's a refreshing bitterness on the back end. There's not a whole lot of acid on this. It's not really a mouth-watering kind of spirit, but the kind of slightly green bitterness is mixing with the floral nature of the floral fruity nature of the apricot is working really well for me. And it's just real clean. It's really clean. All right, I'm going to give this a couple drops of water. We'll come back to it. Only 42%, so I don't want to. 2, 3, 4, let's say 5 drops. Just to see what happens. I'm not expecting tons of change from something already brought down to 42, but we shall see what happens. Good or bad, or nothing. All right, moving on to the Mette. So this is considerably more expensive than the Jelínek. So, I mean, the only thing Jelínek has to do to win this is to kind of hang on, to kind of keep pace, because this is like $30. I mean, and it gets much better distribution in the U.S. than the Mette. So let's see what the Mette's got. All right, Ribeauville. There's a very long lot number. I will put it below. Probably bottle 20, 21, something like that. 45% versus the Jelínek's 42, so it's already got an edge there. Metté Eau de Vie Apricot. Here we go. Ooh. Okay, give me a second. Jesus. Okay. You are getting the apricot. Remember what I said about Courbet and Van Gogh? Like, we're kind of getting that here. There's apricot, but it's like well in the background. You have to go hunting for the apricot. What I'm really getting is I'm being buried in flowers and cilantro. The cilantro is in charge on this. Very herbal. Very, very herbal. Stems, oriental tobacco. So slightly citric tobacco. Oregano, parsley, green tea. Black pepper, actually, on the nose, which is rare for me to get on an aged spirit. It's very just earthy and grungy and green. That fresh spinach note, that's here, yeah. There's a little bit of fennel happening too, which is kind of a Mette trademark. I always get fennel on their stuff, no matter what it is. Let me just. This is just, the Mette is so much more serious and just austere than the Jelínek. It's like it took all the herbaceous greener notes from the Jelínek and just kind of exploded them. It just kind of jumped right into them. And I like it. I'm kind of into it. It's not what I expected from an apricot brandy, but maybe this is just like one of the directions you can take apricot brandy. I'm going from a sample set of 2 right now on the palate. Jesus, that is hardcore. But good. Um, Again, apricot staying more in the background here. I mean, kind of like the Jelínek, as much green as I was getting on the nose of this, there's more green on the palate. Flowers, cilantro, parsley, black pepper, spinach, fennel. Ooh, it just gets so so bitter on the back end, like overstewed oolong tea or something. God, that is it's very good. This is very, very good, but good Lord, this is hardcore. I was not expecting something this hardcore from apricot brandy. I usually think of apricots as delicious things that you know, have with a little honey drizzled on them. This is not that. This is very green and earthy. Wow. Okay, I'm curious to see what that does with water. What I'm hoping the water does is bring out the a little bit more apricot, well, a little bit more fruitiness. Put it that way. Wow. Fun contrast. I was expecting these to be different. I wasn't expecting them to be that different. All right, back to the Jelínek. Not a ton of change. There's actually a little bit of orange juice coming through now. Like from concentrate orange juice, but nice. Or even more like Mirabelle. There's a little bit of like you know, you made a stew of concentrate, you know, from concentrate orange juice and Mirabelle plums. That's kind of what this is smelling like now. It's nice. It's just, it smells like summer or late spring. It smells very refreshing on the palate. Here we go. With a few drops of water, no real change happening on the palate. I was saying before, it gets a little bit, you know, bitter, refreshingly so on the back end. But this is really, really friendly and easy drinking compared to the Mette. I'm very surprised. Very surprised by how different these are. Even though there are some notes in common between, like I'm getting the spinach note in both of them, right? It's nice. It's really nice. For $30, I mean, if you're looking for, you know, alternatives, I wouldn't say to rum, but particularly to like various agave options at that kind of entry level price range, look into this, man. This is good stuff. I'm gonna give it 84 points out of 100, and yeah, things I learned today. I need to pay more attention to Central and Eastern Europe. I feel like I've already learned that at some point. I just need to keep relearning it. This is good. This is 84 points. Okay. And again, it's a big distillery. Like this is something you can find in every kosher grocery store probably in the world. So they're big. They get distribution, and it's still good. Impressive. All right, moving back to the Mette. Let's see if this is softened up a little bit. Nope, not at all. If anything, it's even more hardcore on the nose than before. The apricot-y, the fruitiness of the apricot has receded even more. I'm really enjoying this. This is great, but I have to warn you, no one is calling apricot brandy in a blind. no one is, unless this is just what apricot brandies are normally like, and I just don't know that, but God, it is so herbal and green. And if the fruit hasn't shown up on the nose, I'm expecting the palate is still going to be really darn hardcore. Okay, here we go. On the palate. Ooh. So there's a little bit more hints of fruit on the palate, at least on the front end of the palate, the arrival. But what the water also brings out more bitterness and astringency than I like. Not to say it wasn't bitter and astringent and kind of bracing before, but with water, it kind of just it steps over that line for me. Yeah, this is a beast. And I would recommend you do not drink this with the water. It doesn't seem like it responds very well. The back end just gets too austere, even for me. And I am Mr. Austerity. I'm going to give this an 85 minus. So, yeah, I want to root for the Mette, right? It's a smaller distillery. This is nerdier, not just in the distillery, but in just the style. It's more serious. It's more hard work. It feels more exciting in certain kinds of ways. But, you kind of look at these two side by side, and it's not really that much better, especially for the money. If it's ahead by a hair or two. So yeah, things I learned. I need to be paying more attention to Central and Eastern Europe. Also, things I learned. Apricot spirit is apparently pretty darn hardcore. So yeah, those are things I need to follow up on. 84 points for the Jelínek. Highly recommended at this price point. 85 minus for the Mette. Not my favorite from them. It's good, but I would just as something to have around a drink, I might actually prefer the Jelínek. And that's my shocker of a conclusion. Thanks for watching, and cheers.